Okay, I think it's time to start this session. Let me go ahead and share these slides full screen. Oops. Um, Welcome everyone online and everyone in person here. We are recording this session just so you're aware and for others to have access to. My name is Bruce Godfrey, and I am a Geographic Information Systems librarian here at the University of Idaho, and I'm located on the Moscow campus here. Geographic Information Systems is well known as GIS. If you hear that acronym, if you haven't already, we'll shorten it often and probably all the time. Just to make sure everybody's on the same page here, we're going to talk about resources that are available to graduate students, actually undergrads, faculty, for the most part, staff too, here at the University of Idaho, and hopefully be able to give you guys information about what we have access to in terms of software, what resources are available, and how to access those items. So I want to cover the support services that we offer at the library and the learning resources that are available, and then how to access the software if you're looking for any of the software that you install, or how to access the items that are software as a service, and then navigating our portal for teaching and scholarly research. So as a grad student, that will be your point of entry into using the ArcGIS platform. If we have questions along the way, just let me know. I don't have a set, session at the end. I'll try to pause periodically and see if anybody has them. Probably run about 50 minutes. We can have some time at the end to discuss anything, or during the session is okay too. So in terms of support, at the library, we have a space in the map room for those in person here. It's just across the way. It's called the Data Hub. It's a space for support for geographic information systems and data science and other analysis and visualization issues, research data management as well. We are that map room's open and available for use as it transitions somewhat away from physical maps to digital support for digital data and analysis. So that's available there. It's in the northwest corner of the library. It's room 107 here on the first floor. So you're welcome to stop in there and see us between 11 and 3 Monday through Friday, where it's staffed by a librarian. I'm in there one day a week, and we have several other librarians who do shifts in there. So you can come see us in person. For folks who are remote or at distance, you can do phone calls, first come, first serve type of thing. Remote, there's chat icon on the Data Hub webpage. So if you search for that through the library's website, or just in your favorite search engine, you search for Data Hub in the library, you can get to that chat icon, or we can do Zoom to remote. If you want to contact us, set up a special time to sit down or visit virtually, we can do that, or you just pop in, between 11 and 3 virtually or in person, and come by and talk data. And hopefully it'll be helpful in that realm. So that's our space here in the library, and how you get in touch with us. In addition, if you come to us and, we don't have all the answers, if you're running into some technical bug, if we're running into an issue with a piece of software, we do have the ability to contact technical support through the software provider. So I could open a case on your behalf, or we could open a case on your behalf. Right now, students and faculty can't contact Esri directly for support. You need to go through one of the institutional contacts. So that's really what I want to get at here. If you are running into a technical issue, don't reach out to Esri, reach out to one of us and we can submit a support case for you. So we're a first line to come in and try to help you solve issues you might be having. A second line is we can promote it to someone at Esri that's available. In terms of resources for the software we'll talk about today, for all these mapping products that we'll talk about, their web pages have quite a bit of information, documentation and videos and tutorials that are available and free to the public, right? We'll show a link here and these slides that are made available to you, these hyperlinks you can go to and search through the variety of products that we'll talk about. It's a good way to get an overview of what a piece of software is intended to do, and then basics on how to take advantage of it and use it. So that's a good first resource. In addition, on top of that, with our higher education site license for this software, we do have access to an additional set of modules and training data and learning training resources and learning plans that you can get access to through Esri training. Self-paced, no cost, online. They're there if you're interested in taking another step in learning about either a topic or a piece of software specifically. And that website is esri.com training. All of the software here on the Esri side that we'll talk about today is signing in with your VandalNet ID. So you don't have to create a specific usernames and passwords. But if you're interested in exploring the training and what's available, take a look at esritraining.com. There'll be a button in the upper right-hand corner to sign in, and you'll sign in with your net ID. And then you can explore the course catalog. You can explore learning plans. You can, search by different keywords to see what they offer. Some of these are quick, like 1-minute videos, and some of them are multi-hour. The learning plans can take multiple hours or days. The only thing we don't have access to is they offer some location-based classes taught by Esri staff that are not something we have access to under our site license. So that's a good resource. Again, a lot of them are out there and available to the public at large, but we do have an extra tier of resources for our site license for the university. And again, you can explore them by topic or a variety of ways to see what's out there and available. So I encourage you to take advantage of that if you're interested. One other piece of support and kind of learning we do each year is GIS Day, which takes place the third Wednesday of every year. There's an in-person and a virtual component to it. We're always looking for presentations. So grad students, if you're interested in doing a lightning talk, it's pretty, kind of low bar on getting in and doing this. Certainly if you're interested in just learning about what's going on campus or in the region or the state, that's available. One thing about this year, it's the 25th anniversary, so it should be kind of fun. Hopefully we'll do some reflection and looking ahead. It's amazing to think back 25 years ago, what we couldn't do in GIS. I mean, it's pre-Google Maps. It's hard to believe that, when this started, you didn't have that. So it'll be fun to maybe, hopefully gather up some people who've been doing this a while and think about what we might be able to do in the future that we can't do right now. So just kind of keep a lookout for that, for a call for presentations if you're interested. And it's another piece of support there for learning GIS and learning about what people are doing and making connections. So in terms of the support and the resources, that's all available. Come see us in person, hit us up on the chat or Zoom, stop by and we can talk data, we can talk software. If we can't solve that problem, let's see if we can get our software provider involved. Come take a look. In this space here, if you're on site, We do have computers in there, screens to gather around, hook up your laptop, talk with people or work on group projects, that type of thing. In terms of the software, let's shift kind of gears over away from the service and the support over toward the software. And with that, I'll pause there. Does anybody online or here in person have any questions on what we just covered on the services the library provides or the resources that are out there?
So yeah, I came here because, so my work that I did at my last school, I didn't get my bachelor's here at the U of I, but I'm working on, my grad school stuff here. So some of the stuff that I started there is under their license. How do I have to share that with this school or with myself here in order for me to continue working on it? Or can I move that work into under this license?
Where are those data stored? Are they files on a hard drive or?
They're with my college, I think, and well, then I had a school laptop too, which I still have. They said, hold on to it until I know everything I have is safe and gonna stay with me,
Oh, okay.
so.
We probably want to take a look. It'll depend on where the data are stored. If they're stored on a laptop that you have, you could certainly have those travel with you. If they're did you use
But
Esri
I'm probably
software
gonna
like
send the laptop back, and I was wondering also if you have I don't know if it's called a hub or what, to run Esri through a Mac.
um,
The tool, the adapter to run ArcGIS on a Mac. Do you have a license
Well-
for that, or do we have to purchase that separately?
so running Esri software on a Mac is the question. If you're we're going to talk about that a little bit here coming up. Let me get right to that. I'll kind of show you on the
Awesome.
Mac side
Thank
of things here. So if you go to the library for accessing the software that we make available, if you go to the library's main website and you go under the find icon, there's a geospatial resources item in the table of contents here. And then the software page is where you get access to and learn a little more about that. And so this talks about the higher education site license we're under, right? This is all higher ed institutions in Idaho that have access to this. Just please don't use it for commercial use, educational, we're restricted to. And students, faculty, and staff have access to this. For any of the software that is able to be installed on a computer, you can install these programs on your own laptop or devices you have. You have a desktop. So if you want to install ArcGIS Pro here on your Windows machine, you can do that. Or if you want to install Drone to Map or City Engine, you can do those on your own machine and license them. The ArcGIS Online stuff is all, like we'll show here, it's almost all software as a service. So once you're signed in, you're going to get access to all that's out there. You can browse all those Esri products like we talked about. These are the three main ones that are desktop installs on computers. Most everything else, again, is software as a service, where I'll show here and we'll talk about. So these are Windows-based programs that you're welcome to install. And then we have some links for open
I think
source.
I'm just trying to decide if I'm gonna get a PC or, the regular, hardware that I need to run that, and then how I'm gonna hold on to my data.
Okay, well, let's explore that here a little bit as you think about how much data you're gonna have and what type of
It's not a
processing you
lot.
need to do. And then that might drive you in a direction of, well, which piece of software to use and the depth of analysis you'll do. Esri, like those powerful ArcGIS Pro desktop processing product, again, is Windows. If you do want to do something on the open source side, that's definitely available for Macs and Linux and Windows systems. So it's
So
something
that's
to
only
consider.
for open source?
Yeah, so
Is that just as good as?
I
I would
it's
imagine that may not have all the.
There's a number of people using QGIS, which is a popular desktop install product, that, might be one to take a look at, if you want to go on the open source side. With Esri's site license and on their platform, those three products I mentioned are installs on a desktop or a laptop, and Windows primarily, except for City Engine, which you can do on Linux too. So if you're going to work in Esri's environment and you want to install their most powerful analysis software, ArcGIS Pro, you have to be on Windows. Almost everything else we'll talk about today is a web browser. So if you're on a Mac and you want to do all this, we'll talk about it in ArcGIS Online, you're good through any of the popular web browsers. So that'll kind of be a decision to make. You're really only going to need to install ArcGIS Pro if you're doing a lot of heavy lifting and analysis in GIS. There's plenty of tools that we'll talk about here that you can do through the web browser.
Okay.
So we kind of categorize them into four chunks here. I'll call mobile data collection, if you want to do field data collection, web mapping, making web maps like we see in Google Maps, your ability to tell your story about your research and convey information to people, and then the analysis side of things, if you want to do geospatial analysis. And we're going to look at each of these four in the software that's available that gives you a picture into what you can go out there and dig deeper into. So on mobile data collection on ArcGIS platform, there's three primary apps out there. One being field maps, which is really a map-based, like this picture that you see on the screen is a picture of my phone and a map-based field maps mobile data collection app. So you can do that. Survey 123 is very popular. It's more of a form type of approach, kind of like Qualtrics, if you've ever done that. It's Esri's version of that. And then quick capture is one that's pretty popular, I guess, with post-disaster stuff. Take a picture quickly, gather a limited amount of attribute information, but quickly document field observations. So Android, Apple, grab these, install them on your phone. You can set up a data set where you can start collecting data and storing it in ArcGIS Online if that's something you need to do for your research. So those are three primary for mobile. On the web mapping side, in the web browser, they have Scene Viewer and Map Viewer. And if you do most of your GIS through the web browser, Map Viewer is going to be one you're going to use quite a bit. It's in the interface for ArcGIS Online that we'll go to. And it's any mapping software you use, it's pretty standard where you get a map window, a base map. You can change the symbology of a data set. You can filter out, in this case, say you only filtered to counties for Idaho instead of the entire nation, that type of thing. So you have that ability to do GIS operations in the web browser in Map Viewer. And then Scene Viewer is a 3D version of that, right? A globe where you can show 3D data. So those are your two popular apps for web mapping that are out there and available. On the analysis side, there's quite a few. So ArcGIS Pro, their most powerful analysis tool and geoprocessing tool. Again, Windows, you're going to need to run that. You're going to install that on a laptop or workstation that you have. City Engine, if you're doing 3D design, that's a popular one. It's available again for Windows and Linux. And then Drone to Map, if you're doing any kind of drone data and you want to use Esri's solution for working with those data post collection, that's a Windows-based product that they have. Now they do have an add-in for Excel. If you like Excel and say you create a bunch of points, latitudes and longitudes, and you want to map them inside Excel, you can install this add-in. That's available. It's another way to go if you just like working in Excel. They have an app called Insights, which is for doing location-based analytics, which is really like if you've ever heard of or used Tableau, which is real statisticky and analytic, it's similar to that, where you can do a lot of analysis. Within ArcGIS Online is also notebooks, which is, if you ever use Jupyter notebooks, this is just ArcGIS notebooks. So if you like coding and storing, pieces of processing in there, you can do it in notebooks. And again, insights and notebooks, just web browser for access to those. So you don't need to be on a Windows platform to do that. In addition, on the analysis side, business analyst is pretty popular if you're doing some kind of market analysis or something like that. They have a web-based version of that browser. They also, if you're in Pro, you can get an add-on to Pro for doing that too. So that's an either or. That's either software as a service or a local install. And then ArcGIS Urban is their popular city planning piece of software, which landscape architecture is using quite a bit. So that's out there and available as another app for doing analysis and city planning in. So there's quite a few. And again, when you get these slides, these links will take you to that product page to learn more and look at some of the videos and resources that are available. There's a lot of products. You kind of got to narrow down what you're going to be doing and what might be helpful. So more for conveying information. So story maps is it seems to be their most popular app in ArcGIS Online. It's a way to create a digital storytelling site with combining maps and audio and video and text and, kind of tell your research story or just your story. So that's a very popular one. Again, browser-based. Dashboards is another one. If you're getting some real-time data in, you can put, features on there to make sense of that for people. Hub is another one for community engagement. Instant apps. You have the ability to, have some data that you place in a map, and then that map gets placed in an app where you can create some context around that. Instant apps is you choose a template, choose some colors, real basic, just go through, no coding, anything like that. But you can create a pretty nice wrapper around your data and your map with this instant apps. And then Experience Builder is a little kind of a step up from instant apps. If you want to create your own app with interactive drag and drop kind of visual programming environment where I want to put this portion of the web page in a map, and then I want to have a table of contents, and then I want to show a table here. You can create what they like to refer to as experience, but it's really a website that would have information for folks that you're conveying. Yes.
I have a question about Hub, community engagement initiative. So can you kind of talk a little bit more about that, and how does that work? How would you apply that to things? Because I've done community engagement stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be something that would boost that? Because I've tried to use ArcGIS and story maps in order to try to clue people in as to where I am or where I'm going, what's gonna, trying to lay it out for people.
Right.
And then, thank you.
Yeah, so Hub is just accept this. You can configure it's almost its own little ArcGIS Online site that you would end up creating, that you can invite folks to participate in and have different initiatives out there. And this will talk about kind of how you could share data with them or create these websites, enable collaboration through a Hub site. So you could explore this and see if that's a direction you want to go beyond an app like Story Maps to engage folks.
And just regular ArcMaps. So because what I've done is I've done QR codes, you know, and just put the QR code out there or mail it out or share it and then boom, then they know where to go.
Oh, okay,
So that's what I've done. So I
Okay.
just,
that might, yeah, yeah, that could be all you need,
it's just the
you know.
QR code.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering, like, how does ArcGIS Hub work? Like, is that gonna help me or would that be good to know?
Yeah, that'd be good to sit down, take a look at and see if that's something that you might extend, if you needed to, you know, kind of. It would get a little more advanced where you could host accounts for people and, you know, that type of thing, if you wanted to share secure data with some people. Outside of our organization or somebody who's not within our ArcGIS organization.
Okay, okay.
So that's another one. So those are all apps for just, you know, telling your story essentially or conveying information.
Just
there's-
for so people know, with the QR code, it doesn't matter what device or laptop or whatever that they have. As long as they have the QR code, that map will pop up on anything.
Right, okay. Yeah. On the developer side of things, there's application programming interfaces and software development kits that Esri offers. So if you want to create your own app for a mobile device, Esri, if you want to do it on Esri's platform, there's tools for that. And then Python, if folks are scripting and stuff, they have an API for a lot of this, called the ArcGIS API for Python. So just, you know, if you're a visual programmer, drag and drop, want to use a way to configure the app in a browser, or if you want to do coding type things, that's out there and available. Any question? That's kind of a rundown, a kind of high level look at a lot of the different applications we have access to. Once we sign into ArcGIS Online, there's ways to navigate through them through the website, and we'll take a look at that. But does anybody have a question on any of those apps online or here in person further? No? Okay. So what's ArcGIS Online? So it's a cloud-based platform, right? So this is global. And Esri hosts this for us. So we don't manage, you know, those data that we load on there aren't stored here, right? They're
Not with the organization?
they're with our University of Idaho organization, but the software is not stored on premises.
Right, right.
Managed by us. So it's stored on Amazon Web Services somewhere out there. And we have access.
Amazon?
I think that's on the backbone, the back end of where that's probably stored. That's my
Okay.
guess. So if you go to arcgis.com, that's the public facing version, and you can go out there and set up a public account if you wanted to, or you can just browse data that people have made publicly available. So you don't need an organizational account to access data in ArcGIS Online. And if you go to arcgis.com, just go out there and see what's available, do a search for different data.
Or different data packages, maybe, if you wanted to do your own. That's what, like, I'm thinking.
Well, ArcGIS.com, if you do a search, it's going to discover GIS data layers, public GIS data layers, apps that people have made available, maps, that kind of thing.
All of your layers of your cake.
Yeah. And so for folks who've been doing this a while, this is still a migration from desktop storing data locally to more of web-centric GIS. And so for graduate students and most of us in courses, the Teaching and Scholarly Research portal for the U of I is uidaho.maps.arcgis.com. So that's our organizational portal on ArcGIS Online. So arcgis.com, the public one, you know, anybody can set up an account, work there. For uidaho.maps.arcgis.com, you have to sign in using your VandalNet ID. And that's going to grant you're going to become a member of this portal. And with that membership, you have access to all those apps we talked about there, which you wouldn't have access to public and just a public account. So you want to use your VandalNet ID, you know, for accessing those different items. And these items, again, that we're not backing them up, we're not managing these data locally. There's protection now. You guys are coming in a good time because last quarter they added a recycle bin to ArcGIS Online, which people have been asking this stood up in 2012, so it's taken a while. But they do quarterly updates, and they're, trying to add features as rapidly as possible. So there's a recycle bin now, which is nice. Because in the past it was almost impossible if you deleted something to work with Esri to get it back. So yeah, things are moving forward. As we talk about all these different apps in ArcGIS Online, right? These data that we have, we can share them across all these apps, right? We can use field maps on my phone. Like I have field maps installed on my phone, and I can go out and collect data. And if I'm offline, I can collect it offline or online. When I'm on a network, it syncs back up to ArcGIS Online. So those data are stored in ArcGIS Online. And then I could go access them from ArcGIS Pro, right? Or I could access them from story maps. It's, again, this GIS web-centric way of thinking about things as opposed to storing data locally. So we can also, come from a powerful app like Pro and publish data out to ArcGIS Online and get to it from another app. So we can move ArcGIS Online on that one diagram is really kind of the center there, and then all these apps can interact with those data in different ways. I want to spend a few minutes talking about just the sharing side of things on ArcGIS Online, and we'll go into the website here. But by default, any data sets you create are private, right? You're the only person who can access them, and you have to choose to share them more broadly. And Esri gives 3 additional levels of sharing currently. You can share items with a group. You have the ability to create a group and share items just with the users of that group. So I could create a grad student essentials workshop group. And if you guys are all members of ArcGIS Online, I could add you to that group. And then I could share a data layer or a map or an application with just among this group. So that's the first way to share. You can't share right now. It's not like some other apps where I couldn't just share a data set, like click on a data set and say share it. I have to create a group and place the data set in that group and share it with the members of that group. So it's not quite like if you're used to OneDrive, for example, where we just share a Word document. So in this platform, we create a group, we place items in that group and make members of that group that we share it with. The next level we can share is at the organization level. And our organization level here is anybody with a net ID at U of I that would sign in. And we do this at the library with a number of the data sets we share that are licensed. Like we have some imagery that's licensed for some of UI's research study areas. And we share it at the organization level because we're not allowed to share it publicly. So once you sign in, you can get access to it, but someone just browsing the web wouldn't be able to get access to it. So you could share stuff at the organization level. And some folks are starting to do that, like the director of the University of Idaho Experimental Forest, sharing data at the organizational level. So that becomes handy for students go in there and grab that. And then you can just share it publicly, anonymously. You can just make it so that you give anybody a URL and they can get there. So those right now are your 4 options in ArcGIS Online. There's kind of like the recycle bin, there's long been a lot of discussion of why can't I just share a layer without creating a group and that type of thing. We'll see if that comes about, but right now that's what you have. As a note, this is a global platform. So in that group, you could invite members of other organizations. Like if you had a collaborator at Boise State or Idaho State or Washington State, if they have ArcGIS Online and an organizational account, you can invite them to be in the group too, right? That's another thing to consider, that it's not only that you can share within members of the University of Idaho, you can share beyond that. Okay, Any questions on any of that? We'll go in, I won't show ArcGIS Pro here, I think. It's actually not installed on this computer. But the only note I'll make there is for everything we'll look at in ArcGIS Online, like data layers and that type of thing, we can do the same searching we'll do in the web browser. We can do that in ArcGIS Pro. Because when we install ArcGIS Pro, we license it through ArcGIS Online, and you have access to all the items in the portal in ArcGIS Pro, just like you do other apps here. So we'll just look at this in the web browser. Anybody, on any operating systems can access this. It will show, but know that a lot of this functionality for search and discovery is in other apps in Pro. So that it's out there and available. But let's take a look at, see if I can find ArcGIS Online here. So I think that, let me just, as we get in here. So if you can see in the address bar, I'm at uidaho.maps.arcgis.com, like was on that other slide. To get to our point where we would sign in to University of Idaho Teaching and Scholarly Research Portal. So again, uidaho.maps.arcgis.com. In the upper right, we can sign in. It's going to ask us here to sign into the U of I, and we want to click on the blue button. That's BandleNet ID. And it's going to prompt me. I did sign in here before. Okay. So you don't have to watch me enter my credentials. But first time through, like all the other apps, enter your credentials and you'll come in ArcGIS Online. So at that point, you become a new member of the organization. You're granted access to Esri training. You have a license for ArcGIS Pro. You're set up to begin to use items on Esri's platform here. The default page for this is at the organization. You'll see I'm administrative contact. If you have questions about any of this, just reach out to me. We make some data available through open groups like aerial imagery and others you can explore just through this interface. And you'll see some of the members who have recently joined and the latest content that they've published, at least at the organizational level. If it's private stuff, you won't see it. But if they've shared it, among everyone anonymously, or if they've shared it at the organization level, you'll know. And that's what this icon here, for those hopefully can see here, the globe says it's public level of sharing. The little building is organization level of sharing. So then there's a number of tabs across the top in ArcGIS Online. You can fill out your profile here. I have a picture in here, and you can, put in some information about who you are if you want, or how to contact you, or what types of data sets you're working on, that type of thing. And up here, there's a little checkerboard that has access to many of those apps that we just talked about in those previous slides. So if you want to start creating a story map, you can hit the app right here. That's one way. It's not the only way you can get to it, but this is one way to get to it. Or if you want to create a dashboard, or if you want to create a new experience. There's quick links to a number of those apps that are available through this little button. There are notifications if you get invited to a group, that type of thing. There's a notifications little bell there. And then across these tabs, there's the home page that we saw when we were signing in. There's a gallery tab that has a lot of the data sets that the library shares. And are available through here. Some of these are from research. Some of them are just historical data sets that we've had over the years. A number of them are imagery products that have been made available and shared. for different parts of the state. So you can certainly browse the gallery, and you can certainly browse it by what they refer to as an item type, which in ArcGIS Online, you can have all sorts of items, right? We could have a layer like of features, like a data set. We could have a map. We could have an app, like an experience or a story map or that type of thing. We could have a notebook. So there's a lot of different item types that you can filter by. If I just want data, you would just limit it to say, just give me, a certain type of data layer, and I'm not interested in an app or that type of thing. So then map and scene are those two mapping products that I mentioned on the slides. Map is the 2D interface that you'll see. Scene is the 3D interface, and we'll come back and take a look at a map in a moment. But those are the links to get right to those apps. Notebooks is built right in here, so if you want to do notebooks, it's available. You'll probably spend a lot of time in these two tabs. If you're going to use ArcGIS Online, and you're going to use it through the web browser, your content tab, which is really kind of like almost like a Windows Explorer where you'll manage your items, and then your groups tab if you're going to share it. So let's take a look at the content tab here. You'll see in here, I've got a whole bunch of different content. You can set up different folders to organize your content. You can't set up subfolders like you can on a desktop machine. You have to have one level of hierarchy right now to kind of organize your content, but you can create a new folder in there. These are all the different items that I just have, and you can see this is the title of the data set. This is the type of item it is, like this web experience was built with Experience Builder. This web map was built with Map Viewer. Here's a data set, a hosted feature data set that's available, when it was last modified, and then the sharing level that's set on it. So it's a little person, I'm the only one who can see it. Then again, some shared at the organization. If you see this icon, that has a person plus a group, the owner plus a group. So I shared it with a group in that case. So yeah, you're going to spend some time in here organizing your data. If you're in ArcGIS Online, the content tab, you're going to see a lot. For each of these items, if you click on the title of that data set, you'll go to its item page, they call it. Here, if you're going to share these data, or even if you're not, if you want to remember what they are, you might want to store some metadata in here. So create a friendly title, which is just the little icon for the editing that you can do. A brief summary of the item you can place in here. You can get kind of a full abstract in the description if you want, put hyperlinks in there to other resources, that type of thing. If you want to share these under like a Creative Commons license, you can list that license in the terms of use or explain that. You can put tags in here if you're going to have it out there for somebody to search and how they would credit you in this case. So in this tab, metadata is important if you're going to share this and document it. Really take some time to look at that. You can explore these data in here, just the tabular version of that. So these are all these data, the attributes for this data set. You can visualize it here, it'll give you a quick look at that data set in something that looks like the map viewer. You can get an idea of how many times people have used this data set if you're sharing it. If you want some history of that, how many requests it's getting for a certain duration of time. And then settings, which is going to be an important tab in here. You can enable delete protection on here so that you don't accidentally delete it. By default, it's unchecked. So if you have an important data set and you want to make, you want to make double sure now. The recycle bin is now the first line of defense, which is good because it'll ask you, it's going to say, we'll put this in the recycle bin for I think it's 7 days or something. which didn't used to be the case, but you can even delete protected here. So if you really wanted to delete it, you'd have to come and uncheck this. And then they've got other pieces in here. If you want to be able to edit on this, you know, if you share it with other people to collect data, if you want to enable editing, that type of thing. Different indexes that you can build on fields. If you want to let people export your data as like a Excel file or a GeoJSON or a shape file or something like that, you can enable that ability in here. So you'll end up spending a good bit of time in this content tab just managing your data, probably if you're going to do a lot of work in ArcGIS Online. And then just to mention that groups tab, if you do want to share data among a group, under the groups tab, you can create a new group. And you have a number of choices on, you know, who can view the group, like, do I want all organization members to see it, or do I just want certain members, or I'll make a public group, and how they would request access, or you would just set up your parameters, how you wanted to have that available. So you might spend some time in there exploring groups. From the content tab, you can also create new items in here or create an app, which right here we could get to Experience Builder. We can also get to it up here. So there's not just one entry point, but if we want to create a new story map, we could do it right from here too, as opposed to going through the little checkerboard.
So the checkerboard is where the Experience Builder is?
Well, it's here and here.
Oh, it's
You could
both,
do it
okay.
either, yeah. So
I see it now.
it's just another way to get through it. You can create new items on here. So like, for example, if I wanted to create some new feature layer, I could do this. And if you're not familiar with that term, it's like, do I want a new point layer or line layer or polygon layer? And I say point. And what attributes do I want with that? Do I want to, for that point, do I want to correct like a name and a latitude, longitude, and all that type of stuff? You could define it here. Or if you just have some data like a CSV, we could just take it and drop it in here. And we say, I want to create this new data set as a feature layer. We could also just upload it as CSV, but it's not going to do us as much good that we can't visualize it. So if we want to create a new data set from a CSV, I'll just by default say I want every field in there. And since I named them latitude and longitude, it knows what my location field's in here. Or if you don't name them, you have to pick them up. And we could say next. And I'm going to call this I'll just do that real quick, and I'm going to skip the tags and the summary here to show you what this looks like. So if you have a CSV and you want to start mapping and you want to do it in ArcGIS Online, we could drop it up here. I come to that item page and I could open it in some different applications, and I'm just going to do it in Map Viewer, or I could start documenting that and, you know, make delete protection enabled on it and all that. But here's my data set. Oh, what? Why did it fail? Hold on a second. Let's see if we can have it real quick. From my content. Oh, well, something went wrong with my with adding it. One more time. If not, doesn't like it for something I did wrong. Let's add one other that I had in here from before. I don't know why that failed. So here's a data set that I uploaded from previously that had 1 point in it. So this is my own data I'm accessing and I'm adding to Map Viewer here. We could then get, you know, other data sets that other folks have published. We can certainly publish our own data on here, but we can also add data sets from that other folks have published. So if I have favorites listed, if I have a group, I can add data sets from the organization. I can add it from all of ArcGIS Online, or I could add it from space Esri calls the Living Atlas, which are data sets that are curated by Esri and their business partners and made available, which is a nice categorization because you have a pretty good idea that they're pretty solid data sets. They'll be well documented. You know, if you search all of ArcGIS online for stuff, just kind of beware of what you might find, because anybody can make it available out there. Maybe they're using it for a specific purpose and they edited it in some way and didn't document that. So definitely be careful there, but we can add stuff from the Living Atlas. If I go to my favorites, whoops, I'll take that off. I have the experimental forest boundary in here, so I'll just add that. And I know Rob Keefe is the director of experimental forests, so I feel pretty comfortable. This is a pretty good boundary layer. There it is. If I wanted to do Living Atlas, I could add some data sets called like, I don't know, I'll just do fire. So a number of layers will come up here. They're marked as authoritative, so Esri recommends using this layer. You know, and you'll see other from federal agencies and local governments, state governments, that type of thing out here that you can get access to. And we could add this to the map, for example. So now we've created a map with a piece of my own content that I threw in there, a layer from Esri that's available, and then a boundary that's from a faculty member here at the U of I. And now we could save this new map, right? We have a data layer, or if we have a data set in here and these items in here, and we would save this as a new item. Grad student essentials, work, shop, map. And we could save that item. And if I went back to my content, I should see that new item here that I saved, and I've created this new web map and I can come back to and launch. And I mean, if it's public data that you're using in there, that you're sharing, you can just share the web map publicly. And now we could start creating application on that if we wanted to. Or this web map, we could use in story maps to tell some story. If you're going to use ArcGIS Online and you're going to store data, feature layers, if you're going to do vector data, points, lines, and polygons, you're going to end up creating those. If you're going to explore it, you're probably going to create web maps with those data layers in there. And then, you know, if you want to create applications, again, we can work from here. So if we went in here, we could start creating apps in here. You know, we do Experience Builder from here. We could do Experience Builder from here. We could go back to our content tab and do Experience Builder. We could open it right in ArcGIS Pro from here. If you wanted to use this in field maps, you'd start working with it in field maps here. So that's a quick look at ArcGIS Online. Just to kind of wrap up, to talk about some of the other workshops that we've done. I think y'all received information on those for the grad student workshop, so definitely check those out. For this year, we've got 4 others coming up that might be helpful to the work you're doing. And that's everything I have. I'm happy to try to answer any questions anybody might have. Stop by and see us in the Data Hub, or certainly online, you know, email me or reach out to me, and I'm happy to talk about any of these apps or data, or just any way to support your research and your learning at the UI. And definitely, if you have the opportunity to take advantage of these, because it's expensive software, and having access to all this stuff as a student is pretty nice. So yeah, so thank you for coming, and I hope it was helpful. And yeah, reach out if you have questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, good.